Holy Tim Curry's got a bomb, Batman! Tiki here, and I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman Beyond for the first time. Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago, I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way, but that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
Tonight, we are talking Final Cut. And, let's see, that's Season 2, Episode 15. So, Dragon, this is a really interesting episode because, as you know, the original A Touch of Curare episode was like, it might still be my least favorite episode in the whole Batman Beyond spectrum so far. So I was really going into this one not expecting much. Like, honestly, Dragon, my expectation for this episode was like, well, it can't get much worse than the last Curare episode, right? Like, it's got to at least be better than that. But I got to tell you, Dragon, even beyond just the whole, like, exceeding my expectations go, this is, like, another one of my favorites of Season 2, just strictly because, like, I mean, Curare is kind of like, you know, her presence is minimal, but, like, as a minimal presence, I actually think she's really cool. She's a lot more effectively used than she was the last time around. But more importantly, this is just a straight up, like, it's a very, very solid, like, arguably the best Max episode that we've gotten so far. Honestly, Dragon, this might be one of the best performances that we've gotten out of both our leads in this episode. I really think they both really shined, and it's ironic because I feel like that's very appropriate because it's like the whole gimmick of the episode from the character's point of view is that Bruce Wayne is out of town and it's kind of like the kid's time to step up, and I gotta say they really do. So and that's not even counting the Tim Curry of it all. And the Tim Curry of it all is just kind of like a delightful little cherry on top of everything. I mean, he's awesome, Dragon. What can I say? He's always awesome. So yeah, I'm not just pleasantly surprised by this episode, but I really think we're on a roll with the Season 2 episodes. I've really, really liked the past few that we've gotten.
Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised to hear you like this one. I was a little worried given the Curare of it all, because I remember you were very nonplussed about, more Curare. Oh.
But like I said, I feel like she's much more effectively used in this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so a little bit of context on this. So this was directed by the great Butch Lukic, who is kind of he's kind of spearheading all the Tomorrowverse movies they're doing now. But as far as Batman Beyond goes, he did episodes like Lost Soul and Golem. The writer on this, it was actually a writing duo. Well, not a duo, but two writers that have kind of worked together in the past. Hilary J. Bader, who did A Touch of Curare, the original, and Meltdown. And also the great and powerful Alan Burnett, who did...
Oh, there we go, man. There we go. That was, forget about A Touch of Curare, man. This episode has a touch of Burnett with a dash of Curry. That's what we need.
Burnett! A little A. Burnett! Yes, of course, the wonderful and Alan Burnett had some hands in this. Yeah, so the studio worked on this. It was kind of nice to kind of get in the Meltdown crew on this with these two. So studio worked on this was Coco and Tiki. This isn't just like your average ordinary, cup of cocoa, my friend. This is like the world's best cup of cocoa because we actually pull out some stops this episode. We go full cocoa this episode.
Oh well, okay, no, you're not wrong. The animation, there's a sequence. There's
I know.
shot in this. One shot in particular.
That's the full. I know. That's what I'm talking about. That's the full cocoa right there.
Yeah.
That's the world's best cup of cocoa shot.
I mean, just that shot, it's straight out of something like the Great Mouse Detective Big Ben sequence or something.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's out of Coco's playbook. That's the Sub-Zero playbook.
Nice.
That's what I call the full. That's what I call the world's.
No,
best
that's
cup
what
of
I call Coco.
Yeah. Well, cocoa with some delicious, cherished marshmallows of Dong Yang in the mix too, just to
Indeed.
create the perfect warm blend that feels like a warm blanket.
So I got
Okay.
to imagine the fandom likes this episode just because of the max of it all. I got to imagine, right?
I mean, it's not a lauded episode, but for the max of it all, it's the thing. Some people are polarized. So depending on who you ask, some people are probably polarized by Max as a character. Some people really like her, which I think you'll find most people like Max. Some people love Max. Some people like Max. Few people do not like Max because it feels like, and we've added like a character outside of kind of our duo
I find
pairing
that
to
really
this.
surprising, especially after this episode. I honestly think after this episode, she's kind of like an essential component to this show.
I mean, I've heard a select few who aren't crazy about Max in this episode, but it's a select few. Anyway, but overall, yes, the Max fans, I'm sure, do adore this episode, as you probably imagine. So, there's not a whole lot of background to this episode. The main thing they kind of take away is that they were really plussed with how the design of Curare worked out. A touch of Curare. She always had a really cool look, and that episode was very memorable for the Barbara side of things. So that episode very much is on everyone's mind, and it's like we had some really good kind of strides with Barbara Gordon, and kind of our rationale for having that episode was we had a force that would very much have her and Terry have to kind of team up and kind of be in each other's space, which was that cool looking Curare character. Because a lot of the villains in Batman Beyond are based on like really literally a whole file full of really cool designs we don't know what to do with yet. Because again, we don't have a Bible for this show. We're just kind of going with like what works.
Uh-huh.
So kind of per the playbook, the kind of the written on the fly playbook of Batman Beyond, it's like, okay, well, we want to bring some villains back, and this one was probably a less thought out version. Like, it's just cool. Let's bring her back. And we kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger of like she was being attacked by the Society of Assassins, but we don't necessarily know what happened. So there was a bit of wiggle room there, and it was like an opportunity to bring her back and do character stuff. The other two things of note for this episode: one, big return of Tim Curry to the DCAU.
Of course.
Return because Tim Curry was the original voice of the Joker way back in the beginning of Batman the Animated Series. He was cast as the Joker, and he was. There was actually a few conflicting stories because some people say Tim Curry literally scared the executives too much. That was like in terms of like his audio for the Joker is like, this is going to scare kids too much. It's Pennywise. We can't show kids this. Which is why they kind of were looking for a different Joker. Other reasons were it was like a time thing where he couldn't commit to a series because he had a whole bunch of stuff going on. Because Curry was big in the '90s, as we all know. And the other thing was potentially Curry wanted too much money. So it's unclear which of these.
I could see that.
Honestly, I think it was a combination of all three. Personally, that's what I think it was, but that's just me. Anyways, that's why in the early Batman the Animated Series episodes, you can tell Mark Hamill is voicing the Joker, but until Joker's Favor, which is a full-on, that's Dini writing for the Joker full-on and writing for a Mark Hamill Joker, all the Joker episodes leading up to that are very much just kind of like Mark Hamill matching the lip sync on the Joker.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we have a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, the great Phil Maki, was the man who unearthed the Tim Curry footage that was lost to the ages.
Yeah, nice.
We're not going to mention who leaked that footage to him, but someone leaked that footage to him.
All right, anywho. So Kogias is in the comments. He says, I love how in the thumbnail Max is so distracted by her phone that she doesn't notice the assassin. Yeah, Dragon and I were joking about that when you put that in right before it went on air, how this looks like it could be like a PSA image for like, don't get distracted by your phones, kids.
Yeah, it was almost like that moment from I forget which Friday the 13th movie it is, but I think it's the 9th one. Not Jason X. The one before
it. Thanks for clarifying, Dragon. I thought that Jason X was, in fact, the 9th one.
Still. Just the fact, I don't know, it's a gag that very much could have been in Jason X, which is why I'm making the delineation. I think it was the 9th one. Where Jason, it was the 9th one or the 8th one, I think it was the 9th one, where basically Jason he kills a couple having sex, but it was this big moment where he steps on like the condom that they discarded, so it was like a message for safe sex.
You're right. That does. like something out of Jason X.
I just can't remember. That's the thing. It feels like Jason X, but I can't remember which one it was in. I think it was 9.
Honestly, it could be Jason X Dragon. Honestly,
it's possible, but I just don't know the occasion of which, because he's in space. I don't know when the occasion would be at a campsite.
Well, I'm just saying, like Jason X, from what I remember, had like a lot of stoner humor, and like it was a very broadly comic movie. Honestly.
Jason X that has one scene at a campsite because it's in virtual reality, but that's not what happens in that sequence, so I can't really. Anyway, point being, it's set in the future, so it's somewhat related, kids. Anyway,
I fucking love Jason X, man.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. Let's see. Kogiasek also says they threw Tim Curry a bone by having him in this episode. I stand by the belief that he was a better choice to voice the Joker than Mark Hamill. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, he was already an established voice actor. Like, if Mark Hamill didn't voice the Joker, then we might not have ever known how awesome of a voice actor Mark Hamill is. That's the thing. That's like kind of the butterfly effect of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, while Bruce is away, the kids will play. So, Kokias, I actually really thought of you when we'll get to one moment in this episode, the don't call me Terry line. I'm like, all right, does this legitimize him calling himself Batman for you enough, Kokias?
Are you satisfied? Yes.
All right. Yeah, he had a bit part in the Scarecrow. I remember that. Could be heard. His laugh could be heard in a B-Clan episode. Okay.
Well, actually, you know what? I can't say for certain, but in the episode The Forgotten, I kept meaning to double check this because it sounds so much like it could be Curry, but then again, it could be Conroy doing an impression of Mark Hamill, where in the episode The Forgotten, Bruce Wayne has a nightmare in which he for a moment turns into the Joker when he's looking in the mirror, and then the Joker reaches through the glass and like throws him out of a building. And in that moment, Bruce Wayne is laughing and turns Joker. So that's the question: is that Kevin Conroy doing like a Joker laugh because he's going from Bruce Wayne to him, or is that like did they pull the Tim Curry audio for a moment?
All right, Wart Monarch's also in the comments, just making some commentary about horror movies and horror comedies in particular, where the monster stalks the characters when they get stopped by the obstacles or get hurt by the character's stupidity.
Yep.
Now, I'm not sure if you're referring to Jason X in particular. You could be. I heard the Joker laugh in The Forgotten was Kevin Conroy.
It makes most sense for it to be Conroy's, given how that transition goes in that episode. So I'm not surprised by it. It's really creepy, though, him having to do a laugh kind of like the Mark Hamill Joker. It's really creepy.
That is kind of creepy, yeah.
Because the only times that he laughs, as Batman, it's like it's that, and that's not even technically as Batman, it's as Bruce Wayne laughing, and then Batman laughing in Mad Love, and then of course Killing Joke. It's like the only 3 times he ever laughs as Batman. Well, there's another time, but we're not there yet.
Oh God! All right, so you ready to jump into it, Dragon?
Well, it's one last thing, then we are. Again, one of the few episodes, I believe one of 5 episodes in Batman Beyond, we do not get Kevin Conroy at all. A very rare thing.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay, now we're good. Let's start.
When it was like, go see if you can contact him. I'm like, okay, I wonder if we'll get him or not. I don't know. Like, it would be interesting to have Max actually contact him in this situation, just
he
because
would have been so mad.
Right, exactly.
Terry!
Oh, God. All right. So we get a nice little, a pretty extended little cold open, just kind of like showing the status quo of the League of Shadows. I'm sorry, I mean Assassins.
Well, Society of Assassins.
Okay, yeah.
It's embarrassing because again the whole censorship thing way back in the animated series where we can't.
Yeah, I remember the story.
We gotta go with Society of Shadows, and now that leads to this thing where these guys are not affiliated with Ra's al Ghul, at least not officially. It's just that they're going off the whole like offshoot thing. It's Society of Assassins.
I kind of feel like because it's in the future, the whole concept is a little easier to buy.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're kind of taking influence from Ra's al Ghul, but maybe Ra's al Ghul was like someone who lived a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, I don't want to jump the gun because eventually, let's just say we'll circle back to Ra's and Batman Beyond. But the impression I have is that the League of Assassins kind of like let's just say went let's just say went a little quiet over the years. So this probably gave birth to other assassin organizations following in the influence of the League of Assassins. So yeah.
Right.
All right. So the head is the head of the, and we kind of set this guy up in the Curare episode. We had a guy, mind you, they changed the color of the eyepiece because he looked a little bit more like Deadshot. In
Yeah,
the other
he's got
episode.
a crazy design, man. He's like freaking like Lex Luthor mixed with like Cyborg.
Yeah, there's a kind of very a Telly Savalas sort of thing going on here with him.
Very like James Bond villain.
Yeah, so Devin here. Devin is the head of the Society
I,
of
I love how
Assassins.
that's such a generic name for such an interesting looking guy.
Oh, of course, Tiki. You don't expect him to be a killer. That's why you give him a name like Devin.
What's that guy's name? He's just Devin. That's just Devin.
Yeah, it's Devin from the Society of Assassins, guys. Anyway, so Devin here, he's very paranoid and he's fleeing. Like his plane has to touch down to do some like solar panel repairs, and he doesn't like being on the ground for any amount of time, and he's rightfully so because Curare is after him. She's seeking revenge on the society for trying to kill her, as per the terms of if you ever fail a mission, they're going to come after you instead. Or Terry foiled her, so she was in trouble. She was in hot water, but apparently she outfoxed her pursuers, and now she's taken. Basically, she went John Wick before John Wick was even a thing. She's like, okay, well they're going to come after me. Well, guess what? I'm coming after them
Essentially,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's John Wick without the dog. So the boss is in the air. This guy's been in the air for days to avoid her wrath, and he calls. Uh, 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 Here's the thing: his name is spelled differently than it sounds. Butta, I think his name is Butta.
Uh-huh. I think it's
Tim
Buddha,
Buddha,
actually.
Butha, I think.
Yeah, it's not Buddha, but it's like Buddha.
Yeah, Buddha.
Yeah.
So Buddha here. I keep calling his first name is a little easier to go with, but anyway, Buddha here. He's played by the wonderful Tim Curry, and he's kind
And
of
I
doing
love
his.
that Tim Curry's voice, man. I mean, obviously, like, what more do you need to say? It's the internet. Everything about Tim Curry's voice that can be said has already been said. But man, I tell you, like, every time this dude shows up in something, it's just an instant one up. You know what I mean? It's like it's just an instant leveling up of whatever he's in. He's just got such a presence.
Absolutely. So Mutro here, I keep calling him Mutro. That's the easier way to kind of refer to him. Mutro Buta here. He is played by the great Tim Curry, and he's doing kind of his Congo accent, which I thought was funny. Kind of like the kind of like the accent from Congo, because he's doing somewhat of kind of like an Asian sort of thing, but he's just
A
playing.
little bit, yeah,
It's kind
yeah,
of Asian meets South African. That's kind of what it sounds like.
yeah.
Anyway, so Curare is cleaning house, and while he's on the phone with the Buta here, Devin gets taken out in this really cool extended fight sequence where again Devin's putting up a heck of a fight here because again he's like the leader of this organization, so he's a tough customer.
There's an action beat in this fight scene that I want to point out just because I really thought it was just very entertainingly timed. Where the stewardess guy who looks kind of suspiciously like Howard Stark with a mustache
Yeah,
just kind of pops out behind the curtain to see, just to check, like, hey, what's going on back here? And then he just gets hit, like, whoa.
yeah.
I don't know. Just the timing of that was very, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the timing of that was very amusing to me. It almost felt like very slapstick, almost like, what's going on back here? Woo!
So the fight, and then she uses this mind wipe capsule, which is a nod to Off Balance, the first appearance of the Society of Shadows, way back in Batman Animated Series, because that was the thing where remember we're essentially in quotes Ra's al Ghul's men in quotes.
Uh-huh.
They gassed themselves and they had like basically these blank, almost pupilless expressions, or at the very least, kind of like a real dazed look on their face, like it was kind of their version of the suicide pill for Saturday morning television. Back when they cared. I mean, we're doing it here again, but it's even more horrific than it was there because like these guys are completely blank, tabula rasa, like they're alive, but they're vegetables. They're broccoli, as Terry puts it later.
And you know what? Again, I'm sure we probably brought this up when it was first introduced, but like, I love how it's technically like a workaround to not technically killing people, but like it is truly a fate worse than death.
It's like the Joker toxin, where it's like it's almost worse than death. You know, it's like dying with a smile, then just being a vegetable with a smile.
Well, to be fair, I think Joker toxin is like the worst of it.
Yeah.
Like this is like like I would rather be in this state than in the Joker toxin state. Like I think that's truly the most horrifying.
Hey, just to geek out for a moment, because this week they released it for the anniversary
Uh-huh.
for Mask of the Phantasm. Again, seeing the aftermath of Joker toxin in that movie with Arthur Reeves, you know, Batman interrogating the man with Joker toxin in his system, like, oh boy, memorable sequence. Am I right?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh yeah. All right. So anyways, point being, Curare, she escapes, kind of slices through the door and just does like a cool James Bond exit with the jetpack. Uh, Mutro is concerned over the phone as he hears, like, oh no, I'm the last one.
Right. So yeah,
I'm the.
really good. Kind of like again, I really appreciate how with this episode, it's like we're getting like little bits and pieces of Curare, but it's like it's done in a much more stylized way from what I remember than it was done in the last episode.
Well, that's the thing, Tiki. I would make the point that even last episode, where Curare is not so much a character; she's a plot device. That okay, she's like the poster for assassin. She's like unstoppable force our heroes have to contend with.
Well, then, honestly, Dragon, I truly do think that it's the Tim Curry factor, and honestly, just again, I do think that Max gives this episode a bump too, as well.
Yeah. So Batman and Batman's on the phone with Max in the Batmobile, having a little conversation. We're expositing that Bruce Wayne is in Malaysia, which he was in Demon's Quest. I'm just going to throw that out there. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool little
Going back
tie-in.
to Malaysia. But Malaysia's been hit by a typhoon, which means we're not going to be able to call him. Or Kevin Conroy might have been sick for the week. Who knows? Way back when they were doing this, like, why is Conroy not in this episode? Well, maybe he had a bad cold. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so he's telling Max says, "Aren't you worried?" Max, trust me, this is not a man you worry about. No, I meant about you. Are you worried for you? It's just a couple days. I'll fly solo. It's fine. Keys of the kingdom.
And then just instantly, just like, nope.
Someone's shooting a bazooka at him. Says, hey, he almost scratched the paint. He almost scratched the paint job. Anyway, so Mutro, he was trying to get Batman's attention. Of course, we have some great Tim Curry swagger here. Mutro Abuta here, just trying to get your attention. I don't want to fight.
I love this. Okay, so this is another, like, I really love just the dynamic here where, of course, again, it's fucking Tim Curry, so he's going to elevate anything. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. But what I really do like is, even if it wasn't Tim Curry, I just like this dynamic where it's like Batman is literally very much forced into helping this guy because of the bomb factor.
This guy, it's the fact that Mutro outfoxed our Green Batman here, and the fact that, like, hey, I have a bomb planted in the city. It's got like a 12-hour, code system here where essentially I got to enter a code every 12 hours or it's going to go off. So we have basically it's mutually assured destruction of sorts here. Where if Curare succeeds and kills me, she's going to be going after you next. But in case that's not enough incentive to save my bacon, you got to save my bacon.
And honestly, Dragon, that's effing brilliant.
It is.
Like, I love that plot device. I really like it.
Like
It's
Terry
little
takes
stuff like that, where it's like I feel like with the first Curare episode, it was very much just kind of like generic, like, oh, okay, like it's just the Batman villain going after, just generic assassin, going after Batman. But here, it's like I think it's a lot more personalized.
Well, it's the fact that we're giving Terry a real dilemma here, and but Bruce can't assuage things here. Bruce can't outwit the assassin in this case to figure out like how to detonate and find the bomb. Terry's got to do all this on his own essentially. Well, almost on his own, and he doesn't have the usual tools of the trade and experience as beck and call this episode.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, So also, I love this. This is a very Batman move for him, though. Just the moment of like he says, basically he says like, she's going to be going after you too. Well, thanks for the warning. I'll look for your name in the obits. It's a very cold, very Batman thing to say, and I loved it. I'll look for your name in the obits. It's the whole like, yeah, I don't have to save you. You're a bad guy. You're an assassin. You try shooting me down here. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. That sort of thing. But I love so I'm not an unreasonable man. Help me defeat Curare and I'll defuse the bomb. And then we have
Yeah,
this.
and again, I love that classiness. The fact that he's just like he has definitely outwitted Batman, but he's not like rubbing it in his face. He's trying to make a deal essentially. So that's great. That's a great dynamic.
But then we also have this great it's basically the Goth. If not, Gotham experiences a sudden population decline. All right, so Terry briefs Max on the situation, and he needs her help contacting Bruce. And this is a big moment. He essentially he was about to out Bruce Wayne, but Max was smart enough to figure it out. Given like, oh yeah, he's working for Mr. Wayne. He's going off all the time to do stuff. He has become
Yeah,
Batman.
this is a great moment where it's just Max is just straight up like, okay, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say your partner's Bruce Wayne, right?
It's a smart guess. Yep. All right, let's see. So, it's a smart moment where she already figured it out. All right, let's see. So the long shot here is Max. Max suggests trying to find the bomb. He's like, no. We these are there is no we in this situation, Max. I gotta find the assassin. These are assassins. You're gonna get hurt. Well, a bomb could get me dead. So kind of need.
I kind of feel like they should have just went with finding the bomb.
I mean, it was ultimately probably the best play, but yeah, it's still
just because it's like if you're trying to find the assassin, it's like let the assassins kill each other. You know what I mean? That's basically my attitude towards it. But if you know that there's a bomb, you got to find the bomb.
Okay, that's true, but there's also the competency in disarming the bomb is the other factor there too, Tiki. It's quite. They lucked out with it ultimately, but in the moment,
that's very true.
Planning wise, I get why they didn't go for the whole. Well, even finding the bomb is like, how the heck are we going to disarm it? Anyway, so. Okay, let's see. So the point being, Terry's plan here, he's going to shadow Mutro and use him as live bait, and then he'll just take out Curare. That's right now. That's his plan. While Max tries to get in contact with Bruce, so they can have a bomb situation. Max disobeys this order. Like Terry's like he's using him as bait and everything. We have this bit here where he's using the cloaking feature of the suit, and this is like, I want to get out of the enclosed spaces. I want to get out. I'd be better if we were out in the open. I don't like enclosed spaces when I'm in the quarry. When I'm the quarry. So Max, once Mutro's out of his hotel, Max sneaks into Mutro's hotel to find the bomb and some clues that might lead to the bomb. So. We have the return of the greedy bellhop from that Bloodsport episode.
Yeah. Random little callback, but I'm down. I'm down for it.
Yep, Max gives him all of her lunch money. Just the bribe.
And again, I need to point out, like, I mean, I know debit cards were around back then. Like, were they as prominent as they were now in the 90s? Because this whole like cash on the card thing very much just feels like a debit card.
Well, I mean, remember, it's like it's almost like the cash gift cards you can
right,
yeah. Kind of like I think it's just them thinking forward with that. So it was probably like a new. Credit was kind of all the rage back then in the 90s, and we're bridging into the 2000s with this. So it was probably a smart assumption that this might be the way we're going. But if the cash cards were around then, which I believe they were, it was like, okay, what's the next logical step of like, just so we don't have like paper money, what's the next best thing? Well, we're going to have, basically plastic versions of it. So I think that was always kind of the idea. So again, it was futuristic in a sense. Like, it was very much like a Nostradamus or thing. One day we're going to have cash you can have on a card. Just we're still using paper though.
All right. So Drag, I want to take a second to catch up on some comments here. Sure. Let's see. If the leaders, Warp Monarch says, if the leaders hadn't let their pride and stupidity make to make dumb decisions, Curare wouldn't hunt them.
Yep.
Indeed. Also, give credit to Curare for tracking down. Dramatic pause. Devin. I'm sorry, Drake. When I hear Devin, I just think of like a 90210 actor or something. I don't know why. It's Devin.
You don't want to mess with Devin. Not Devin.
All right. Kogias also says, this is actually an interesting question. He says, do you think that Terry and Max should have gone together because Dana rarely gets focus, doesn't know Terry's secret, and Max tends to have better chemistry with Terry?
Well, the interesting thing about that is, I mean, they have better chemistry.
I mean, given the infidelity thing with Dana, I mean, I know that we shouldn't dwell on that, but I don't know. I'm still kind of dwelling on it. Like, it's happened twice. So,
well, with the same girl though. So,
I know, but on different occasions, Dragon, that's still not good.
Well, they were broken up that one time though. Okay, the second time.
I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of compelled. I'm kind of compelled by this point.
So here's the thing. The few things to bear in mind here. So they do have chemistry because Max have an honest relationship, and that Max knows exactly what he's doing. She has compared to Dana, though, she doesn't have all the information. So that's why there's at least the illusion of chemistry there. But I don't know if illusion is the right word. The point being, they were contemplating actually having that happen at the end of season 2, having Terry and Max hook up and having it as a thing in the relationship. Like Terry and Dana would have been broken up, and then he would have gone to Max. That's one way season 2 might have ended. But they figured it was kind of like an odd status quo shift. And they basically, honestly, there was kind of like a sort of thing. It was very much a friend zone thing in the writers' room. Where they all had this ew, but it's Max, They all had that moment in the writers' room and say, but it feels so wrong. It's Max. She's one of the guys. She's the friend. We can't do that.
All right, Wart Monarch says, still got to admit with the creators to establish how much of a threat Curare is. So I basically think Wart Monarch's saying that the creators of Batman Beyond, it was kind of smart of them to give the villains introductory episodes to build them up and then kind of build on it. And I agree. And honestly, I think this might be the most dramatic improvement from a first appearance to a second appearance for me personally. But again, it's less to do with the character itself and more to do with, I just think the writing and the animation and everything on this episode is just a lot better than the first one. All right. Kokia says Terry probably couldn't find the keys to the Batmobile without Bruce's help.
Thankfully, the Batmobile does not take keys anymore.
I heard that Max Schreck from Batman Returns was going to be in Batman Beyond, so it's fitting that they had a character named Max. Have you heard anything about that, Dragon?
Well, the thing with Max Schreck is that in Batman the Animated Series, Roland Daggett is essentially their villain. He's kind of a combination of Max Schreck and Norman Osborn. That's essentially what Roland Daggett was. Given that they were doing tie-ins to Batman Returns and they were making Batman the Animated Series, and that was kind of their equivalent to that. So. I don't know. With Max Schreck, I think perhaps maybe Derek Powers might have had some Max Schreck elements built within him, and that was probably the furthest that went. I think that's what Gias is referring to. I think. I don't think there's any legitimate we're going to go full on Max Schreck in there. I don't know if that's that. I'm not. I think there's a coincidence. The whole Max, 2 Maxes in there. I think Anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's what I'm saying. What he's saying there. Once read Derek Powers was going to be that. I think it was just the sense of Derek Powers was probably.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
I think it was just them taking another stab at how can we get Max Schreck kind of homage in Batman the Animated Series? We kind of did with Roland Daggett. We can do maybe a little bit more full with a white-haired character who's very much a bad guy who's very much tied into our plot for the season. So I think that's probably all Derek. It makes more sense with Derek Powers. Plus, Derek Powers, much like Max Schreck, has a son. With Chip Schreck.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So, continuing on with the episode then.
Right. Okay. So, Max, she snuck into Mutro's room. She's looking for clues. She's tossed the room, and then she gave up her lunch money, so she's eating Mutro's candy bar. And she tosses in the trash, and that gives her the old investigative, light bulb of like, oh, I'll check the trash, and she finds the cred card, the used cred card. Basically, she can track his purchases to maybe help him find where he was recently to find the bomb. So she stows that, and then Terry calls Max, saying, basically her saying like, well, I'm with Mutra right now. Says, yeah, I've had no luck with Bruce, but I haven't like searching automatically. Automatically, what do you mean? Where are you? You're not home?
Yeah, so here with this episode, with this moment, I really like how Terry almost kind of like becomes the Bruce to Max. You know what I mean? Like just performance wise.
I mean, for a moment, it kind of has like a McGinnis, get out of there, you know?
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
So Max is he's desperately trying to warn her on the phone, like, "Hey, get out of there right now!" And then she's starting to cop a tood with him here. Where she says like, "Hey, don't think that suit gives you a barking rights with me, McGinnis." So, of course, while this is all going on, Curare is sneaking into the room behind her, very intimidatingly. This sequence is very well directed, by the way.
It is. Yeah, I mean, in spite of the fact that we kind of unintentionally got a meme out of the thumbnail.
Yep. So we have this horrifying sequence. I love how this is directed, where seemingly Max, like, she trips over and Curare like stabs her, and we see like, the shadow and everything, but she's like stabbing like the ottoman or something. Like, again, Max is seemingly impaled in shadow, and she's run to the. It's very much a horror movie kind of moment here. She's like running to the bathroom and hiding.
And again, like Cree Summers, man, she gets really vulnerable in this episode in a couple moments.
And we've never seen Max really like this before.
Frankly, I've never really seen Cree Summers like this, just to like be this vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like in any performance I've heard from her.
I mean, that scream that she gives is blood curdling.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to underestimate. I don't want to understate it here. I mean, Terry's reaction to this is also really strong too. Just him like hearing that.
Well, that's why I said Dragon. It's like I was gonna just say like this was one of Cree Summers' best performances, but really like both of them deserve credit. I think this is really like a two-man show as far as there's some really good voice acting from both of their ends.
So he hears the scream. He flees, telling Mutra, like, I have a friend back at your place. I gotta go get him. Like, then your friend's already dead. I have to go back. He says, fool. Also, my favorite detail, by the way, amidst all this drama, is that Mutra was like grabbing a bite to eat out in the street, like going to like a snack cart or something. Did you notice that? Like he was grabbing. Like,
I did not notice that, but that's
the thing, because they're killing time. He's grabbing a bite to eat because he can't eat at the hotel. He's just grabbing like a bite to eat from like a food truck or something.
Oh God.
Anyway, so now here's a really great bit that I think goes under the radar. I don't think a lot of people picked up on. We homage Rebirth in this episode, where Terry, when he enters the hotel, praying that he's not too late. You hear the same score they used when he found Warren McGinnis's body at the end of Rebirth.
Oh wow! Okay,
it's the same music cue. We only use this music cue one other time in Batman Beyond. So just to show you,
honestly, I think it's really appropriate because I mean they played this moment for the traumatic incident that I'm sure it is for Max. You know what I mean? It's like they don't overstep the fact that this is straight up a traumatic thing that has happened to her.
And it's traumatic for Terry, too, because he thinks, oh, God, that he's finding like the room tossing in shambles and a friend in another room, in this case, a friend and or family member. And it's basically this is the sound of Terry's trauma with his father. He goes in there,
right, exactly.
And basically, Max is like, she's traumatized and shaking in the tub, and like Curare, essentially, she relented, seeing okay, it's not Mutra or anyone associated with Mutra, just some non-third party. I'm gonna get out of here and get back to the mission at hand. And so we see her just she's very rattled here, and Terry, it's just like, are you gonna? She's very terrified in what's going on here, and are you going to yell at me? This is like Terry says, no, I'm not. I think you got the message.
Mm-hmm.
But then he puts a firm point on it here at the end here, where she said he's about to go off back to Mutro, go home and stay there. And one more thing, don't call me Terry.
I fucking love that, man. I love that. That to me is like, again, it's it's kind of like a definitive Terry as Batman moment. He's like he's not only like owning the role of Batman, but obviously for the to stay anonymous, that's kind of like an essential thing to do. You don't want to go around yelling it.
Because we saw her on
And
the
I
phone.
also love how it gets paid off.
Yeah, I mean, we saw her on the phone. They call him McGinnis and everything. You gotta dress it up a little bit here, man.
Right,
You gotta
right.
show. You gotta. He's in character. He's in the suit now. Respect the suit, Max. So it's a firm moment here, right? She has to, she's kind of showing her friend some respect versus like the casual sort of like, oh, my friend's in the bat suit, and this is a thing going forward with them, or she's she's going to show a little bit more courtesy to Terry when he's in the suit.
Uh-huh.
So Mutro, he's hiding in the park under like this, I guess, would you call it a trestle? Like, what do you call like the under bridge, like under the bridge?
Probably a trestle, yeah.
I guess Trestle's it then. Anyway, so he's like under the bridge area here, and I like the shadow work on this, by the way, it's just in darkness. And he takes the bait. Curare did this clever little trick where she made like a bush in the distance move, and he just overreacted. He shot like a bazooka. And yeah, they get this really cool one-on-one fight. And Mutro, he's got some moves. Curry's got moves, man.
It low-key is one of the more badass Curry roles, honestly.
Oh yeah, he does this really sweet thing where he throws these binds at her wrist, and he takes her sword, and he says like, "Lesson number 1: always hold on to your weapon." And he's going at her, and then she pulls out this dagger, which is also nano sharpened. So she dodges him as he cuts through the statue like butter, like the giant stone statue like butter. And yeah, it's just really cool. We have this thing here where she, they're going around, they're fighting a bit. Then she tosses the memory wipe pellet, the mind wipe pellet at him. Then we in quotes kill off Tim Curry. I mean, he's alive.
Yeah.
It's creepy, and we have like creepy pupilless Tim Curry too, which is even worse.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, again, just with the imagery of it mixed with the idea that it's like, okay, like you're going to be a vegetable for the rest of your life. Like, I mean, honestly, like for me as an adult, I think it'd be better if he was just fucking dead.
And we don't know if it's like eventually regain conscious or not. It's like, for all we know, that's still the end of time right there.
Right.
So anyway, so Batman shows up. This is like, he's fine. We have the expository line, even though it's been said in the episode. We have to have a fine point with like the boys in blue at the scene here, or I guess the boys dressed like penguins at the scene. This is like, well, he's fine, but nobody's home. That's just to make the censors feel better, kids. All right, so Batman in the cloaking mode, he finds the device, which means okay, we have basically a little over 2 hours on the clock here. So he tells Max, yeah, he's broccoli. Max blames herself. Says, look, live by the sword, die by the sword. Mutro made his own bed here. Don't feel bad about it. We got to focus on. We have bigger fish to fry right now. So Max brainstorms an idea to disarm it, but to disarm it, we got to track down the signal, which she's able to do, and she finds basically. They triangulate a location using geometry, which again, this is why you don't fall asleep during geometry class.
Now, again, this is another reason why this is such a good Cree Summers performance, is that she is able to kind of transition from being traumatized back into the more sassy kind of role that we know her for,
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. I mean, also, I'm not saying this is like a deliberate thing we're doing, and we really went a different path in the DCAU. But you know what? There's some light shades of kind of a Batgirl Oracle thing going on here. Where Batgirl,
I could see that, yeah, for sure. The guy in the chair, at least.
Yeah, where yes, guy in the chair. I just mean in general, like Batgirl had a very traumatic experience, and she kind of found.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
she found herself through kind of the tech savvy side of things, being very helpful and kind of working past that trauma. Anyway, so she's being invaluable as the guy in the chair here, where she triangulates the location, uses the cred card to pinpoint exactly where he is. Gotham Museum of Armaments. Basically, all like the bombs and guns and future technology. It's kind of like put there for display over the years.
It is kind of a clever idea to just hide a bomb in plain sight.
Yeah. So Terry, Max. Then
also, why is there no Bane in this episode?
Well, we know why there's no Bane in this episode. He's an old man in a retirement home somewhere.
Fair point. Fair
Well,
point.
technically, he's an
But
old
still,
man.
they could have gone to him like, okay, we need old man Bane's help to disarm the bomb.
We only have 2 hours though, so we gotta be quick about it. We gotta go all the way to Santa Prisca, and we gotta find him in his little.
All right.
Who's even taking care of Bane now? The Jackson Chapels.
That's a good question.
Anyway, so Terry needs Max on this to defuse the bombs. They need 2 sets of eyes to do it. It's gonna work faster than one, so he's kind of in a bind here. We have this great gag of I've always wanted to see this, and I love that in this episode we were finally able to get this way back when I watched this. We never see anyone else in the car with Terry, and we see why that is.
Yep.
Because usually the only other person we put in that car is Ace the Bat Hound, who's a little more compact in size. We've never put another human person in that car, and the reason is it's a one-seater. So get your ear out of my eyes. It's like all those billions you think you could afford to put in a back seat. It's a really good line. All right, so they're searching the museum, and Tiki, Bat Gadget, we use the frequency scanner.
Indeed.
I love how compact the frequency scanner is. See, the cool thing about the Batman Beyond suit is you can pop off the little capsules on the belt, and they kind of become things.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, just one big toy chest, that Batcave. Max making with the funnies now she's in the field. So we have this fake out with the communicator where they think they found the bomb like right off the bat. It's like, nope, just it's a different frequency. Like, oh, funny. Well, at least it works. So let's see. So anyway, so looking for the bomb, and then Max has her big moment here. She calls out Batman, like, Batman.
Yeah. I love that though. I love that. I feel like it really, again, through this episode, Kogias, if you're still in the comments, like, tell me this moment, the whole, like, don't call me Terry, and then paying that off with Batman, look out. Like, tell me that doesn't legitimize Terry being called Batman at least a little bit for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it really is very earned in that moment.
Yeah, so anyway, so she calls out Batman, warns him. We have some cool fight going on between Batman and Curare. Let's see,
But again, this is like, I just want to point out, like, up until this point, Curare has only really appeared for like maybe a couple minutes, and so it's like, and this is the first time that she's encountering Batman at all. So I do love how economic we're being with her in this episode.
No, for sure, yeah. So let's see. We have used Curare. I mean, I want to say in a 3-act structure, but she did technically have that encounter with Max, but almost a 3-act structure with Curare. And we've used her, right? We've used her very sparingly and very importantly.
Mm-hmm.
And things. So, let's see. So they have this great bit where Terry tosses her the frequency scanner while he's dealing with Curare. And then we have the world's best cup of cocoa sequence.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so we have
really quick. I'm not sure if this is before or after, but I just so I don't forget it. Just a little. This is a random little aside, but I have it written down in my notes. Like, I really like how Cree Summers says, "Oh no," when she drops the device.
Yep, it happens like I think after the world's greatest.
I just want to make sure I get it in there. Just it's kind of funny to me just because of how like childishly frustrated she sounds. She's like, "Oh no!"
Yep, like the poor device gets smashed. So like a little moment of silence for a little frequency scanner, as cool as the device it was.
All right, but yes, I mean, again, Dragon, this shot is like. It's crazy. It might be the most impressive shot in Batman Beyond so far. I'd say that's pretty fair to say, right?
So I suspect what happened here was, this is very much a Coco in its earliest days with Batman was Sub-Zero, in which we had like really impressive shots, like the beginning, the opening shot of Sub-Zero where the polar bears are running on this. Kevin Conroy also, is fun fact, even though he's not in this episode. Conroy always loved that opening of Sub-Zero with the polar bear shot. He loved it.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. That was always like Coco to a T. Coco, that was what kind of made. That was like, hey, we need a studio. Let's bring him back for Batman Beyond because they loved their work on Sub-Zero and things like that. So It's an example of, I imagine, because during season 2 they were working on Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which was their big movie, so they were kind of working in tandem. So I imagine perhaps like them pulling out all the stops for that may have rubbed off a little on some of our kind of our our digitally created episodes, like the ones that are animated directly on the computer versus the cell animation, which is the era we're at now in season 2 and Batman Beyond going forward.
Sure.
So yeah, we're able to pull out the stops and do stuff that is like very much kind of like this awesome tracking shot. It feels like something you'd see in Sub-Zero or like kind of like a Caps sequence from A Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, like even just the framing of it and the way it's shot, it's very much reminiscent of that.
I mean, the coolest thing about it is that you can see like Curare just kind of moving through like the moving background at the same time. It's not just her moving through the scene. It's like two moving elements. And I know it sounds very, from a distance, it sounds like really, well, it's just two things moving. How hard is that? But like, folks, you don't understand.
If you know animation, then you know.
Yeah, so it's the fact that she's moving through like the idea like they're cutting down the ropes of all these like these hanging bombs and planes and things that they're running on, and like she's like evading things as Terry's like shooting the batarang, wrist mounted batarangs at her.
It almost seems like a random moment to spend that much money on. You know what it kind of reminds me of, Dragon? I think I've brought this up before, but I know you're not a big Simpsons guy, but are you familiar with that one shot from the babysitter episode that's like weirdly cinematic?
I mean, I've heard of Simpsons having like occasionally these cinematic moments within the thing, but I don't know if the babysitter is one that.
Okay, yeah, it's like it's a famous like it's literally like one shot out of like a random season. I think it's like a season 2 episode, I want to say. And it's just like everything else about the episode is like by all means not really anything extraordinary, but that one shot is like, holy shit, okay, we literally just went into feature budget animation for just one random shot. All right.
Yeah. But still, yeah, it's an impressive shot, and I wonder how much that is like they had money left over from the budget for the from Return of the Joker, perhaps. But I don't know. I have to imagine, especially one thing is something like Phantasm, every penny went into that movie. So chances are every penny probably went into Return of the Joker. This is probably the luck of like Coco just likes to impress, So anyway, so we have this point of cool sequence, and like down below, like bombs and like fake bomb shells and things are falling, and like actually the scanner gets broken, so it seems like oh no, we have no way to find that bomb. We had like the time is running out. So Batman's trying to rationalize with Curare, saying, "Well, the bomb's going to go off, but you don't even care, do you?" And we also have this really great gag where Terry throws. I'm sorry, this is before the tracking show. I just want to get this in there a little bit. The Terry like throws this display at her. He says, "Sorry, buddy." And he throws
yeah.
Anyways, then we have the super impressed tracking shot, and the thing gets destroyed. Then one of the hanging bombs fall, and then we have Little Boy drops. Little Boy, so Oppenheimer saves the day. Yep, Oppenheimer.
Oh God.
Almost like Robot House. Oppenheimer.
He totally is.
Anyway, so Little Boy, the Little Boy drops, but thankfully it is the bomb that we are looking for. They find the bomb, and Max is on her own disarming it while Terry's fighting Curare. She's got 12 seconds, and we have this really great moment of genuine panic that we all would be in. Like, I don't know. Max is like sweating the storm, like, oh, I don't know, and just like flack it, and she just like rips the bomb.
I mean, that's a good instinct for if you're trying to disarm a bomb. Just try and destroy it. That is a good instinct.
I mean, separating it from like the little clamps that go into
exactly.
The bomb.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot if you only have 12 seconds. Like, we're either all going to be dead, we're not going to care.
Exactly.
So I gotta admit, I love the way Batman takes out Curare, by the way. She's on, like, because they're in a museum and armaments and everything, so she's on, like, this trebuchet, basically the old school catapult. And basically he cuts it with a batarang and basically catapults her right smack dab into the wall.
Oh, God.
It's like, wham! It's like, oh, Terry usually gets the receiving end of these painful blows, but I love that he gets to deal one out to Curare here. Like, Curare, that's what you get for scaring poor Max. Trebuchet! Anyway, so Max is like, can we go home now? So afterwards, like Terry's kind of patching her up. She's like a little cut on her forehead or something. Like, how do you do it? Well, it's easy. It's easier for. I like this humble brag for Terry. He's being very humble about it. He's not making a big show of it. He's like, it's easier for me. I got the suits. Says, no. How do you do it without telling anybody? It's amazing.
But again, Cree Summers kind of running the gauntlet, because that's like a very really exaggerated, funny performance moment from her right there, without telling anybody.
But yeah, this is nice. We have another feel-good ending for Batman Beyond here, where it's like,
honestly, Dragon, this ending is kind of like why I contemplate, I don't know, could these two have worked?
It's a really nice moment where they have this really sweet, genuine moment where it's like, I can tell you, and you can tell me. That's why I'm glad you found out, partner.
Aww.
That's what I'm saying. These two crazy kids, they're pals, they're buddies. Jesus Max.
All right. Okay. So yeah, Dragon, final thoughts. Again, I'm very impressed with this episode. I truly thought it was probably just from the first appearance to the follow-up appearance, it's far and away the best that we have. But again, that's probably just because I really didn't like her first appearance. But yeah, very pleasantly surprised by this one. I don't know if I would call it my favorite of the season, but again, I feel like we're on a really good run of episodes so far. I really think we're on a good streak.
Yeah, again, this one's not really, it's not a go-to episode for me, but it is always one I do highlight with the Max character. And I've been building this one up for you for a while with Max, seeing that you have responded to her in a positive way, thinking yeah, if you like Max, you're going to love this episode. And seemingly you have.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Good times.
All right. Okay, Dragon, I do have the name of the last episode. I know we didn't go over it beforehand, so go ahead and do it up.
Yeah.
Well, and also we want to thank Kogias, and yeah, that's what I have. Yeah. Okay. We want to thank Kogias and Warp Monarch for joining us in the comments.
Oh, wait a minute. I think we had one. Hold on a second. I think we might have had one more. No, I'm crazy. There was no. It was just Warp Monarch and Code Geass. We're all good.
Yeah, Code Geass. I don't know what to tell you about the whole not calling him Batman thing. I think at this point it's I guess I'm just gonna have to make peace with it. We're gonna have to agree to disagree. If that's not gonna win you over, nothing will. All right. So, Dragon, yeah, go ahead and cue us up.
Parental paranoia turned final solution. Psychology, a new prison. The arrogance of youth. Can Terry infiltrate Dr. Wheeler's ranch and expose the cruel conditioning at hand? Will Terry be brainwashed? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with The Last Resort.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh,